let's start with our presentation. And really, it's amazing to have Jesse on. Jesse Green.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today. It's my first time in a session like this. We are a member of more than one chamber because we've actually been approached by the Thai chamber from Thailand. We're part of the UK, and we just joined Singapore. And yeah, I mean, we basically are there for South Africans abroad, which is actually the market that we originally started to serve, and later. So that's what the topic is about today. But just for everyone to know, you don't have to be abroad to use our services. Later, we had South Africans in South Africa saying, "We also don't want to do this or can't do this ourselves. Can you do it for us?" So we do also service South Africans wherever they may be. So yeah, as Jason said, I'm not in South Africa at the moment. An opportunity came up due to the Middle East conflict where prices rocketed downwards. And I'm actually in the Maldives at the moment. We were chatting in our breakaway group to Suzette, and she organizes tours to the Maldives. So yeah, the weather's good, but the internet connection is not good. So we've got Jason hosting the presentation, and well, someone's hosting the presentation. I'll mention when to click through. So without further ado, let's get started, because this is quite a tough topic. When I moved from from South Africa to Spain, there were a lot of documents to get together. Spain is one of the worst countries for that. Every document, even your birth certificate, you can't be born again, but it must be less than 3 months old. It's got to be apostille. It's got to be translated. And when you are abroad, it is a real challenge to get further documentation if needed. So if we can go to the next slide, basically, I think anyone can tell you, you need to plan. It was a little bit of a job for me, other than my job. It was a second job to find out what I needed. We as a company can tell you what we see in the market or see going on, but we can't officially advise you. We're not an authority. So you need to find out how long do these documents, what's the validity in the country that you're in. Some documents like passports have an expiry date. So you need to be aware of these things. We're always surprised that people come along and go, "I didn't know I needed this document." Okay, that's maybe understood. But if they do have one that they didn't know that it's expired, or they only found out 1 week before. And at the bottom there, I say, we are happy to give free advice. Email us, contact me, phone us anytime. And we're not one of those companies, where you're paying for our time, or we're billing on our time like a law firm. You can ask us if you want to go off and do it on your own. And if you're able to do that, then by all means do so. So we're very happy to give free advice. I'll quickly go through our services. So the next slide, the one company that we run, apostille.coza, is documentation and apostilles from all government departments, high courts, embassies, etc. If you need a stamp from, I don't know, if you're going to Vietnam, you need not only to go to DIRCO to have it authenticated, you also need it attested. If you need a police clearance, birth certificate, we'll get into a little later. And then we also do short stay visas at the moment from South Africa out. So probably not something for South Africans abroad, but maybe if your friends or family are visiting you, you may need them to get a visa. And we're very well established. Just under 10 years ago, when I moved from South Africa, we've serviced over 20,000 clients. Over 90% of them are South Africans. Sometimes they are foreigners who need the document, a South African document. We're POPI compliant, we're VAT registered. We get a massive discount from DHL on couriers, and we all over the country. So whichever high court, whatever government department you need assistance with, we have representation, either ourselves or third party who can attend. And people like us, obviously, we do something that is really important. When I moved to Spain and started this company, I noticed very quickly that we wanted to help South Africans with anything back at home, but very quickly it went down the documents and visas and admin branch. So on the next slide, have you ever needed any of these documents? Those are typically the ones that we get asked for, home affairs documents, or changes to home affairs documents, or updates, or checking what your status is there. Police clearance certificate. Some people have an old record where they, I don't know, stole a chappie out of the local corner cafe and they need that expunged. At high courts, we can get documents, get stamps and things done there. We also have notaries on our team, marriage officers. At DIRCO, which some of you may know as the place where people go to get their apostilles done, authentications for countries. We are a registered agent with the government there. So we actually have a specific slot. We have a quicker service from them. And embassies. We go to all the embassies. We have an office in both the Western Cape and in Pretoria. So yeah, I see the slides change, but that's fine. We're on to the next one. So officially, if you have to go and get a document from abroad, you'll go through a long process. Usually you'll have to contact the SA mission. I live in Seville in Spain. So in the south, I would have to make an appointment with the Madrid embassy. I'd have to go up to Madrid at my own cost. I'd have to make an application, hopefully have all the documents and everything. And then I'd have to wait. The diplomatic courier bag would fill up there at the embassy. They'd send it to South Africa. Documents would get processed. The archives at Home Affairs, for example, are not in such a good state, and it would take time. And then finally, the document would arrive, and either they could send it to me, or in some cases, you actually have to travel back to the embassy and get it. Some documents, unfortunately, require a physical presence, so there's not even a way that we would be able to help you with them. Passports, they need your fingerprints, they need your face, IDs, driver's licenses. We get asked all the time, but you need to do an eye test in South Africa. So unfortunately, we can't assist with those, and those are really challenging ones. Another challenge also when you go through the official route is if there's an error on the document, because some of them are actually typed up by hand. That can be a real pain. So on the next slide, you can see that just a funny timeline, I guess. You can look at this afterwards. We can send the PDF to everyone, but it really can take a long time. For a birth certificate, sometimes we hear it can take 3 months. Other people have told us it's a year and they haven't received anything yet. They can't contact the embassy very easily. So it really can take quite a long time. Using somebody or an agency in South Africa, if we go to the next slide, you can see that it's obviously totally different. You contact us, and when you phone us, and when you do so, we respond the same day or the next morning. You send all the information to us on email, unless it's a document that needs a stamp on it. You obviously need to courier that to us, but again, we can organize that as a pickup for you, and you just carry on with your life. You don't need to stand in a queue. You don't need to think about anything. We can keep you updated, but sometimes there's a 2 to 3 wait for something. But you can ask us at any time, has there been any news? Because some people are really keen to hear back. And we can then find out if there's been any movement. But as soon as we know that the document's ready, we pick it up and courier it to you. So it's obviously a totally different experience. And one day we actually do hope, some people say, well, Jesse, you won't have a business then. That's not true. One day we actually do hope that this would be the case for every South African to approach South African government and be able, or an embassy, and be able to get service like this. So if you go through to the next slide, then obviously the timeline is way, way shorter. So another big important thing about working through us is that we have we don't in all cases have a total open line of communication with the government department or High Court, but we are able to ask questions and get feedback on something. So for example, we get a birth certificate and there's a spelling error on it, or it could be anything really. The date of birth is wrong, the gender is wrong, whatever it may be. We can actually go and have this corrected. So that's a very helpful thing. Also, people getting married, they want to, as fast as possible, have this registered in South Africa, and then also abroad, we're able to help with surname changes, keeping the surname the same, or whatever the rules allow. So yeah, I mean, I would really say that I myself have used Apostil. Obviously, that's the one I will use, but I've seen myself how fast these things happen. And, we just have the know-how, the experience. We know which queue to go in. For example, if you're a marriage officer, you don't need to stand in some of those queues. And we know where to go, which doors to knock on if something seems bottlenecked. We know which boxes to tick. We know which shortcuts you can take. For visas, for example, we're often able to get appointments where it seems no appointments are available. We have people who used to work for VFS on our team. So yeah, I think it is just that it's the same experience I had when I went to Spain. The first visa I applied for Spain was it wasn't one of the best options for me, and it took a long time to prepare everything for it, and it was rejected. And I thought, gee, is this just and after that used an immigration firm who chose the right visa, and in 2 weeks I had a stick in my passport and could go to Spain. So I think it's just all about using an expert for something is far better than not, in addition to the fact that if you're outside of the country, it's far more difficult to manage these processes. So yes, that really is it. I tried to keep this presentation as short as possible. I repeated the plan slide here just to say that we are happy to give free advice. So if you're wondering about anything, the slide after this is the last one. It just says questions. If you're wondering about anything now or in the future, please do reach out. You can reach out to me personally, email, phone, LinkedIn, it's no problem, or to the team to get updated information, because something may have changed. There's often news about how things have changed, how applications have changed for different countries. And we're very happy to assist South Africans abroad in general. And yeah, I would say that's pretty much it. And we're
Thank you,
open
JC.
to any
So,
questions.
yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I think one doesn't realize how much value your company and the service that you provide offers once you need documents and you're living abroad. And I've been
Yeah.
through that and experienced it, and it's a huge value and a huge relief to have the service that you offer. Just back to it was actually I wanted to refer to your slide, but it was when you were saying like you need to plan and you need to make sure that you're getting the right documents. Are you able to advise on that? Because I think that's the thing is like
Yeah.
you don't know what you need to get this, and do you have to then approach a lawyer and spend money there, or are you able to provide some sort of guidance in terms
Yes.
of what you need? Because I think that that's
Yes.
an obvious question.
Yeah, so choosing which visa or which, most of the time people are saying we need these documents for a visa or sort of work permit or some long stay visa application. It's difficult for us to say which visa one requires, but we can say what we see. We always call it in the market. We can say what we see happening out there. We can say what timelines are at the moment. And as I say, it's not official advice. We're not the ones issuing the certificates. But we can say what we see coming out. If we make this application without your marriage register, how long would your marriage certificate take to come? Things like that. And we can say, for example, as I've just said for Spain, that usually they require the document apostille. Are you sure you don't need this? It's up to you to instruct us at the end. But so yes, we are able to give advice, but not official advice. Yeah.
So okay, good. That's well, I think that's you're a first port of call, and then from there you can open
Correct.
up the doors. I think just going to sorry, I've got a question before we open it up to others. In terms of apostille, so just I think also South Africa, we don't typically need documents apostilled in South Africa. It's a more foreign, am I right? In South Africa, I was in
Correct.
the banking
Yes.
industry, everything just needed to be certified. It didn't need to be apostilled.
Correct.
Now,
No, an
living
apostille.
abroad,
Yeah, an
just maybe
apostille.
explain what that is, because I think
Yeah.
not everyone realizes what is needed and what it is. So if you can just share that.
Correct. No, that's true, and that's actually kind of where our name comes from. And that's actually what we started with. So an apostille is a verification by DIRCO, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. In some countries, it's called the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MOFA. So it's a verification of the stamp and signature on a document. So it will then so you can then use that document overseas. So let's say, for example, you're going to Germany and you have an apostille in a document. Germany can see that DIRCO has verified that this is a real birth certificate from the Department of Home Affairs. And DIRCO actually has a whole list, a database of government officials' signatures that they actually match that signature to. No jokes. They literally have that. If a new SAPS commissioner is sworn in, he has to make some, like they do in the banking industry, I think, some sample signatures, and they can then match the signatures and see that he did actually sign it. And Germany can then trust that birth certificate as real. I mean, DIRCO doesn't verify, the information on the birth certificate, when you were born, where you were born. They don't know about that, but they do know the stamp and signature are correct. And only DIRCO can apostille documents that are issued by government departments. So you can't go to the High Court and do that. We have that question every single day.
Yeah.
The High Court can only apostille signatures that are registered with them, who are notaries and sworn translators and these sorts of people. But only DIRCO can do it. And DIRCO is only in Pretoria, and you have to go to Pretoria with the original document in your hand.
Yeah.
So it was the most challenging thing for me, because I didn't live in Pretoria when I was moving to Spain, and all the documents needed to be apostilled.
And this is the value you offer, basically.
That's one of the
getting that,
main
living
things.
abroad.
that they
Okay,
are.
let's open it up. Who's got questions? I know, Tanya, you may have a couple of questions. Or anyone else?
Yes, because let's. Barbara's got her hand up.
Okay, I can't see hands up. Sorry, go, Barbara. Oh, there you go. There's the
Yeah,
hand.
so it's not so much a question, but just to say I've used JC Services when I had a real challenge with my passport. It had been in for my passport renewal. It had been in for 5 months, and I was really hitting a deadline of trying to get to Sweden at the end of the year, and I needed a visa, and I needed a new passport for that visa. And Jesse and his team got me that passport in 2 weeks from the time that I contacted them. So it really, really works.
Thanks, Barbara.
Yes, I recognized Barbara's name, but obviously not able to say anything. But now that you've opened the door, just to mention in that case, we can't start the passport application. You obviously need to appear yourself and either at a South African mission abroad or in South Africa. And obviously, it's way faster if you do it in South Africa. You actually have South Africans flying back to South Africa to renew their South African passport or ID or driver's license because you have to be present, and it actually works much quicker. But what we're able to do there is when we're at Home Affairs doing whatever else we're doing, checking on this birth certificate application or that marriage certificate or whatever it may be, we're able to go up to the right floor and say, hey, this passport application, do you guys have it? What's going on there? And invariably they say, oh, yes, this one here. Oh, okay, great. Yes. We'll have a look, and whenever we get to it, we'll get to it. But it almost always happens that within 1 or 2 weeks, it suddenly pops out. So I think it's all just about reminders,
Hello.
Great, thanks.
Me?
Anyone else with a question?
Yes, if you don't mind. Hello.
Go for it. I think Zipa also, but go. Who's speaking?
Roger Abbott.
Hi, Roger, go for it.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me
I
now?
can. Yeah.
Okay. I left South Africa in 1980. I came over here. My dad was born in the UK, and I managed to get my passport through him in about 81, 82, 83. No, 82, 83. But in those days, I was a journalist on Pretoria News, and I was political and not very well liked by the government. And I was told I couldn't have a dual citizenship, and they took my passport away. Now I'm quite keen to sort of get it back because I have this hankering for South Africa. I want to get back, but I don't know what I do. I haven't got an ID book. I haven't got a passport. I've got my birth certificate from South African birth certificate and my dad's British birth certificate. What is anything I can do? I mean, what do I do? How do I start?
Yeah. So there are
Well,
definitely
Jason.
things you can do, and we typically don't assist with it. I mean, I'll tell you what you can do. Again, this is about the free advice. So we don't even offer real services around that. There's only one, because that's about citizenship, and you need to be almost always in person, present, and so on. And they need to really check. Are you actually a South African? But by birth you are, and. There used to be a thing where you couldn't get dual citizenship, or you could if you got a retention letter, but a court case, I think it was last year, or maybe it was a May 2024, 2025 was passed, where now you can have dual citizenship without having to have this retention letter first, and you didn't lose it. There's now a portal where you can go and have reinstatement of South African citizenship. The service we can offer is just a simple, very cheap ID status check. A lot of people want us to do it to make sure that their marital status has been changed, that everything is correct on the population register, where we just pull data out of the population register at the current moment and find out. So if we ran your old ID number on your old passport, if you still have a copy or you can see any ID number.
That's the thing.
Nothing. All right.
I just have a name and a birth certificate from Uitenhage in South Africa. That's about it.
If you have a birth certificate, then we would be able to pull your birth certificate, your unabridged birth certificate, and there would be an ID number on that. What we can also do is simply from your full name and date
ID numbers. Sorry.
Yeah, from your full name and date of birth, we can pull your ID number. Sorry, there's a bit of a gap in the connection. So then you would be able to go on the citizenship reinstatement page, and which I can post that link here in the chat if you want, which is a Home Affairs service, and and it's possible for you to make sure that you still have your citizenship. You can also do what's called a determination of citizenship application,
Yeah.
And you can find out if you are a South African citizen, but if you're born there and your father was, then you absolutely are. And from there, get your, once you have confirmation that yes, you are, and you have your ID number, then you can do a passport application. And this is something my sister who lives in Auckland has recently done. And it took her less than a year to get confirmation that she has South African citizenship, even though she didn't get this retention letter in the past, and she has a passport again. So there's
the initial thing is to go to my home affairs online. There's nobody I can sort of talk to.
Yes, correct. I actually haven't gone through that website myself to see if they require an ID number. If they do, then you may need to just ask us to pull that for you so you know what your ID number is. And we can also show you what it says on the population register, and then you can go from there. Yeah.
Roger, I'll WhatsApp you all the details.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
I
think one last question quickly. Zippo wanted to, and then I think we must go to our last breakout room. It'll be a quick one, but I want to give you the chance, Zippo.
It was a quick one, really. I just wanted to understand, because I've been in the UK for about 20 years now, and my son was born here, but I want to get him a South African birth certificate. Do you guys support with any of that kind of stuff, or is that something that I need to do in the UK?
So the real question would be, was your son's birth registered?
In the UK and not in South Africa? No, I didn't do any sort of South African registrations at all. No.
So South Africa then does not know that he exists, because they don't have access to the UK population registers, if it's called that. So yeah, you would have to register him. Unfortunately, well, actually, I don't know. How is your son older than 1 month, 1 year?
He's 11.
Okay, so then it's a late registration of birth, and they can get quite tricky, depending on, they can get tricky, because South Africa, again, must really make sure that this is your son, and you are South African and it's your son. Otherwise, obviously, people can creep into the system. So it's called a late registration of birth, and you would need to go to an SA mission or to a Home Affairs office in South Africa to register that birth. Once that's been done, he'll have an ID number right away. So yeah.
There we go. Great. I think we'll call it there. We want to network for the last 10 minutes, and then we got a video. So please feel free to contact Jesse if you've got any questions. And Jesse, thank you so much for that. Huge value added service that you provide.